Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Cegs Table. It has been a minute since we did one of these. Tonight, I am joined by probably the biggest Yankee fan I will ever meet on the face of this earth. Host of the Bronx Zoo, a show made by the fans for the fans, Mr. Jake Kosack. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, JJ. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime, man. All right. So without further ado, let's dive into our very first topic. I know this show is specifically baseball, but we decided to do a quick 180. It's officially playoff time. So I thought we'd get your predictions for we could do full playoffs or wild card weekend. It is up to you.
Well, I'll say this. Wild card weekend, I do think the Giants will advance. I'm a Giants fan. Okay. When you're looking at that, it's a good graphic right there. I'll go team by team. I think Jaguars win it. I think the Bengals win it. I think the Bills win it. I think that the Seahawks will win it. Giants win it.
Really? You're taking the Seahawks. Really?
I think the Seahawks could beat the 49ers. I think they have great momentum. And then I think the Bucs are going to win it. When it comes down to it, I do think Tom Brady can pull off another miracle. Maybe I'm one of those wild predictors, but I think the Bucs could take it. The Eagles look strong. Chiefs are, of course, always going to be in it. I wouldn't count out Joe Burrow. But I'm a Giants fan, so obviously I want to see the Giants and the Bills. If the Giants weren't going to make it, I want to see the Bills and the Buccaneers. I want to see the Bills win the AFC, and I think they have a great team. Love Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. But Giants, and if it's not the Giants, I think it's going to be the Bucs. Tom Brady, never count him out.
Yeah, I do know that you're a massive Tom Brady fan, is what I've seen from your TikToks.
I would say I'm I used to not be like, oh, Montana's the best of all time. Then after his fifth ring, I really admire the guy and his tenacity, his motivation, his determination, and him not settling. I think he's a great role model for kids cross country.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, my predictions are Jacksonville wins, Cincinnati wins, Buffalo wins, Tampa wins. I'm going Minnesota. I'm sorry. I think it's going to be close, but I think Minnesota edges. And the Niners are the best team in the league right now. There's no way they lose. My prediction for Super Bowl is Bills versus Eagles, and I'm taking Philly to win it all. So, yeah, okay. I'm getting a little bit bold. Okay, so back to our regular scheduled program. You're obviously a Yankees guy, Mets fan. We had two of the best off seasons in baseball. There is absolutely no question about it. So let me ask you this. Out of our teams, who had the better off season? The Mets or the Yankees? Your call.
It's going to be the Yankees. And I have reasoning for why I say that.
Go ahead.
The Yankees got better. The Mets stayed the same. Now, if they signed Carlos Correa, that's a different argument. That is the move that they needed to make. They needed a power bat in that lineup. Now, DeGrom and Verlander, yes, Verlander's a little older. DeGrom gets hurt a little bit more. Both Cy Young candidates. I think that's like, who wouldn't want DeGrom? Who wouldn't want Verlander? They made great other moves in the rotation. Still not a better rotation than the Yankees. And then at the end of the day, the lineup isn't there. Look, the Yankees, I believe, need one more outfielder. I'll stand by that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm hoping to see that happen. But we got Oswaldo Cabrera. I'm a huge fan of his. And if he's in left field, our team is ready to be, once again, contending. I think the Mets are going to have a tough time in that division offensively.
Oh, yeah,
the pitching's there. They got great pitching, great bullpen. I love the David Robertson move. But the Phillies, I think, had the best offseason in baseball. So it's tough to say when you're going to have a July pickup of Bryce Harper to a team that has Trey Turner now and Castellanos and Schwarber and Hoskins. And then you look at the Braves, who got 10 times better behind the plate with Murphy, made another great move. Yes, they lost Dansby, but they're the Braves, and they're the best team. I think when you walk in this year, they still could potentially be the best team in the division.
It's not that they can be, it's that they will be. One thing I've learned is, as a Mets fan, you can never get comfortable even when you're up 10.5 games on the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, but look, they had a good offseason. I'm not going to take that away from the Mets. They did.
Oh, yeah, 100% did.
But they need one more bat.
I agree. Here's my philosophy. The Correa signing, well, the signing put us over the top. They made us look like the best team in baseball. Now that he's out of the picture, one, I think the Mets are going to use this money for Machado next offseason, which would be massive if we could get him, because the Padres are going to be a financial decline. I think the re-signing of Edwin Diaz and Brandon Nimmo were massive. I think the David Robertson signing might be our best signing. Now that Brett Beatty's going to get a lot of action at third base, but if we can get ourselves like a Mancini or a McCutcheon for the outfield, that'd be huge. Honestly, anything's better than Darren Ruff. I do think our rotation is slightly better depending on how Kodai Senga plays. If Kodai Senga plays as advertised, we will probably the best rotation in the league. But if he doesn't,
I think they'll be the second best rotation in New York, but nothing's going to be.
My
guys
God,
in the Bronx.
Get a load of this guy.
Look, you're gonna have Cole, Rodon, and Nestor and Sevy, which are 4 aces, and then our 5th guy, Frankie Montes, he was the ace of Oakland. So essentially, you have 5 aces.
That's a fair statement. I mean, we've got Justin Verlander, AL Cy Young winner, Max Scherzer, who'd be the ace on any team except ours and the Yankees. Our 3-starter, Kodai Senga, he's a Bassett replacement, so he's also very solid, though. Our 4-starter, Jose Quintana. Jose Quintana could be an ace on a bunch of teams. Mm-hmm. So could Carlos Carrasco, who we haven't traded, surprisingly, so he's going to probably be the 5-starter. But I want to see a battle between him, McGill, and David Peterson. One player that I definitely wanted the Mets to sign was Carlos Rodon. Not to steal him away from the Yankees, who were a bunch of jerk-offs. I wanted Rodon because he's a lefty. That is the only reason I wanted the Mets to get Carlos Rodon. I would have liked Verlander. He's nice and all, but I wanted Rodon over Verlander because Rodon is a lefty, and the Mets are just one team that just cannot hit lefties. So to have one in our arsenal would be massive. But I do think
Rodon would have been a good move, but it certainly was. It was destined that he was coming to New York, and that was the Yankees.
Unfortunately, he went to the wrong side in New York. One thing's for sure, though, you Yankee fans.
Greatest fans.
There are things that I want to say about you guys after what you guys did to Aaron Judge. First of all, you booed him in a playoff game. That's the first thing. And now you're going to give him a key to the city? Are you kidding me?
Well,
explain that, please.
I say this to everyone. I never booed a Yankee in my life. I never would boo a Yankee. So I think those conversations are a little exaggerated. And every Yankee fan I know, which is a lot and a majority, we love Aaron Judge more than life itself, and he deserved that. He is the MVP, and I will say he is the face of baseball. And he's now the captain, and he no one deserves it more. You're never going to find a bigger Aaron Judge fan than me. So I never booed a Yankee in my life, and I'll stand by that.
I'll say this. You'd be booing if Darren Ruff was on the Yankees, that's for sure. The way that Darren Ruff plays. Shout out Frank the Tank, by the way. If he could just shut his mouth this season.
I don't understand. Maybe you could teach me. I don't know why they get so mad with Darren Ruff.
Because he hit like 100 this year. He was our big deadline acquisition. We traded all of our pitching prospects for him, plus J.D. Davis, for a guy that could barely hit a baseball all year. That's why we hate Darren Ruff. He's absolutely terrible. So, with that being said, I think we could both agree the Mets and Yankees had 2 phenomenal off seasons.
They did. They had a good off season. Both clear.
But now I want to get this out of the way. You and I both said before the show, we're both super excited for baseball season. Mm-hmm. Let's make some predictions real quick. What do you think's going to happen? Give me like a World Series prediction. Give me like some award predictions. Like, what are we thinking of here?
Well, I'm going to say I truly think the Yankees, once they get past the hump of the Astros,
will never happen.
It will, and we got to get over that hill. It's been in our way, and it will happen.
With all due respect, it will happen when we get past the Braves, so that'll never happen.
Oh no, it's totally different. But Yankees and Astros, they will be in the ALCS again. Yankees now have the pitching upper hand. I believe the Yankees move on this year. And then National League, I really think the Padres have done all that it takes to get to the World Series. And I think this is their year because the Dodgers really had looking back, a bad offseason, right? They lost Trey Turner. They lost Justin Turner. They lost Tyler Anderson. So I think Cody Bellinger. So that team's going to look very different. They're going to, but we all know why. They're waiting for Ohtani. So I think that
we're getting Ohtani. I'm being dead serious. If it comes to it, the Mets might get Shohei Ohtani. If we want him that badly, we're gonna go for him for sure.
Oh, I think his sweepstakes will be one of the most interesting we've ever seen because it's just gonna be every team competing to get a pitcher.
Way bigger than the Juan Soto sweepstakes.
It depends on what type of year Juan Soto has next year and this year. But yeah, and then Aaron Judge has that momentum. Can see him being MVP again. AL Cy Young, I think you have a new candidate in town. I think if DeGrom stays healthy, he could be a Cy Young candidate.
He's gonna win it. He's going to win it. He's gonna win 70 games this season. The Rangers are gonna win 70 games, and DeGrom's gonna win Cy Young. He's never gonna get hurt again. That's just how it is being a Met fan. And James McCann is gonna hit goddamn 350 on the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I think
that's my life.
I think that I think Scherzer, you never count him out. I thought he was tremendous last season. So National League Cy Young. I think Orioles, bold prediction, going to move on up in the rankings. I think they have a good team, a good young core. And I think the team to watch out besides the Yankees in American League is the Toronto Blue Jays. I like what they did this offseason. I like the team that they built. Yes, they made some questionable trades. And then behind them, Astros got better. They're the Astros. They're going to be back. And the Seattle Mariners. I was thinking of the graphic before. The Seattle Mariners had a great offseason. They got Teoscar Hernandez, right?
He's very
I love Julio Rodriguez. I love Luis Castillo. I think they're going to be back.
I know you wanted Luis Castillo. I know you guys really badly wanted Luis Castillo.
I wanted Castillo. And I think the most surprising thing of it all is Luis Castillo took a team-friendly deal, and this type of market, what we just saw, easily $200 million, yet he took $105 million. So I think he's a team player trying to help build that team.
Yeah, I completely see that. For me, I'm sorry to say this, just kidding. I'm not. I got the Toronto Blue Jays winning the AL East. Very bold prediction from me. I've been getting a lot of hate for it, and Yankee fans' hate is music to my ears.
That's just not true, but continue other predictions.
AL Central wise, got to go to the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, let's be honest. They got Correa, but the Minnesota Twins are not doing anything. Let's make that very clear.
I still wouldn't count out Chicago. They got a great team too.
White Sox, they just fired Tony La Russa, so they definitely got a chance to be much younger.
Now. Good team.
I just think the Guardians are too well developed, and they're such a young team. They're gonna make some noise. Hopefully they don't lose in the playoffs again. Hopefully they get past the Yankees this time. God, don't even play the Yankees. It's an automatic out. Have the Yankees ever lost to the Guardians in the playoffs in a long time?
I don't know. I mean that's of course 2017 when Greg Bird hit that home run off of Andrew Miller. I'm sorry, that was 2017, and then but no team in baseball suffers at the hands of the Yankees like the Minnesota Twins. So
that is true. The Minnesota Twins are
constantly lose to the Yankees. So
and then you've got the I think this is what you call them, the Boston ticket sellers. I think they call it.
I call them the ticket purchasers. Correct.
Ticket purchasers. Yeah, they're going to be in the mud this year. I think they come in dead last in the AL East.
Look, they made some good moves. Got a good outfield addition. They best thing they could have done was sign Devers. If they didn't do that, it would have been a disaster offseason. They got that complete. I still think it was a major loss to lose Xander. It hurts now that Story, who was their Bogarts replacement, for much less money, may you add, and he's a good shortstop. They got him for a much cheaper deal.
Yeah, I agree.
So it makes sense from a business perspective. I think Xander is one of the best shortstops in baseball. I think it's a huge loss. But from a business standpoint, they have a good team, especially with Justin Turner now. They just didn't do enough. And it's been an issue since 2018. They can't get pitching. I don't know what it is. Chris Sale really hurt them by getting injured. But they need more pitching. And they lost Evaldi to the Rangers. So
that's true. I don't think the Red Sox will ever have another good pitcher again on the face of this earth.
It's hard to top Pedro, so I'll give him that.
Mets legend, by the way. Speaking of which, I gotta ask you this: did Don Zimmer get what he deserved when he got slammed by Pedro? I think Don got what he deserved.
Look, he did charge him, but Pedro could have easily just walked away.
True.
There was obviously no match there. There was enough distance. He kind of embraced it. Well, you don't even know if Zimmer, he could have just yelled in his face like they do with the umpires, and he just decided to take him and throw him. I'll never forgive him for that. But great pitcher. I'll never take that away.
I wish Terry Collins did that to what's his face. He was the umpire for the Mets Dodgers game. He just retired.
Oh, the Syndergaard on the mound.
Yeah, that guy. I think Tom Hallen. Yes, he slammed Tom Hallen. That would have been.
I thought that was one of the best umpire interactions of all time.
Listen, Art's in the jackpot here. But of course, they're not gonna do anything to Chase Utley because they love Chase Utley, who I despise.
Chase Utley's great.
I hate Chase Utley so much. He's a disgrace. Anyway, AL Central, Cleveland Guardians, obviously. AL West, obviously, your daddies, the Houston Astros.
Babe Ruth is our father.
That's true. He is your Father, Son, and your Holy Spirit. Amen. Your NL East winners. I learned my lesson from last year.
If they got Correa, I would have not laughed when anyone said the Mets. But I still think it's the Braves division until the Phillies take it over or the Mets take it over. So I think the Mets and the Phillies are going to be on par trying to beat the Braves.
We're not going to do it. The Braves are going to win the NL East again and choke in the playoffs like they do every year. But this time, I think we're going to be the ones to take out the Braves, which would be huge. I'd love that. We beat the Braves in a playoff series. That'd be just. I'd be one of the happiest days.
Well, they're also going to have a healthy rotation next year, which is different. Yeah, they're going to have a different look, but yeah, it's a good division. I mean, you got two teams that are completely out of it, but it's a good division.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Marlins can. Is it true that Aaron Judge almost went to the Marlins? Because I heard that almost happened.
I didn't hear that.
I heard they were it was the Yankees, the Giants, and the Marlins.
I think there's a lot of potential in Miami for great baseball. You've seen it twice. Jeter was a guy that I thought if they should have listened to Derek Jeter. They clearly didn't, and that's why they went downhill after the year they made it to playoffs. Derek Jeter knew what he was doing, and he wanted Castellanos allegedly, which would have been a great move, and they didn't listen to the captain, and I don't know where they go. I think there's good young talent. I think they got Skip Schumacher now, right, to manage.
Yeah, he's not bad.
But I think that there's potential there. And I think that they will improve. Same with the Nationals. The Nationals had an amazing
Nationals
team.
are not improving anytime soon.
They have a long way to go. They have a long way to go.
They do. They're like the Mets back in the Wilpon days, but way worse. Also,
I think they're like the Nationals back in the Nationals days of 2011, 2012.
Those were bad years for them. But I will say this about Derek Jeter. Listen, I got nothing against Derek Jeter. I mean, I used to make up a random thing that said Derek Jeter is a cheater because I thought it rhymed. I was a dumb kid back then. But I cannot forgive Derek Jeter for what he did to those Miami Marlins. He not only did he break up the core, that team could still be a legit playoff team. And honestly,
when you look at it from the business perspective, not to interrupt you, but just from the business perspective, they weren't doing it with that core at the time. So they had a lot of potential to get a lot of young talent in there. And we're seeing it. We really kind of saw it in 2020 when they made the playoffs. We're seeing that young talent come into fruition now. And when you take a team like that, kind of like the Kansas City Royals, right? They got Bobby Witt Jr. in there now, right? But
Pasquantano, the Italian guy.
Yeah, they got that core coming up, but once that core is here, it's time to capitalize. And if they're not going to capitalize on bringing in veteran players, bringing in some star power, it seems almost. I mean, you think about the '96 Yankees, and I think we could even bring in the 2015 Mets in this conversation. You got who they get, Cespedes, right? That was a move that needed to put them over the hump. And then the Yankees, you lose 95, You lose Don Mattingly. You go and get a Tino Martinez. You go and get the Doc Goodens, the Wade Boggs, the Darryl Strawberries. I know Wade Boggs came a little earlier. The David Cohns in '95. You got to capitalize.
You just listed three former Met players right there.
I know I did.
Strawberry, David Cohn.
Three great Yankees, three great Mets. I'll give you that.
Three better Mets, three great Yankees. Anyways, the thing is, I noticed this, and I actually want to talk about this. Did Derek Jeter trade Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees on purpose? Because I think he did.
That was a good business decision. That's all I'll say about that.
No, it wasn't. Derek Jeter definitely stacked the Yankees on purpose. He couldn't bear to watch them lose in the playoffs again. So he said, "F this. I'm making my home team."
I'll tell you why that's not the case. Because there's nothing more important to Derek Jeter than winning. And if it wasn't going to help his team, that doesn't matter. That's the most important thing to Derek Jeter is to win. And any action he ever has done has always been to win. So
that's fair and all, but I cannot forgive Derek Jeter for replacing the fountain in Marlins Park. I can never forgive him for that. That place was awesome. Anyway,
cool stadium though. Cool stadium.
It's not bad. I mean, no one goes there, so like I'm going there in March for the Mets opening day game, which I'm super excited to see Justin Verlander pitch, and Gene Segura is going to hit an absolute bomb on us because he just owns us.
Verlander is opening day starter.
Verlander's probably going to start opening day.
It should be Scherzer.
He's our new DeGrom. We have to start Verlander.
No, I think Scherzer's still your ace.
Yeah, and that makes me remind you about Max Scherzer. This thing with Max Scherzer and Aaron Judge, we all know what happened the first time. Scherzer struck him out, what was it, 3 times or was it 4 times? Because Judge went 0 for 5 that night.
I was at that game, yeah. Scherzer's stuff was electric. It was electric.
Yeah, I was looking for you before I got there like an hour early. I was looking for you. I went to the whole parking lot looking for a Bronx Zoo guy, and I couldn't find anybody.
Sorry about that.
I also heard you taking some shots at us for having junkyards outside our stadium. Listen, it's not our fault. We're trying to actually renovate that, believe it or not.
That would, I'll tell you firsthand, I truly believe this. A lot of people try to argue with me about Citi Field. Citi Field is a nice stadium. I've never said Citi Field isn't nice. I mean, I have my opinions about many stadiums that I've been to around the league. Yankee will always be the best favorite. And for me, a stadium, and I'll give you an example. I went to Wrigley. I absolutely loved it because the best stadiums, and you don't really see this in football as much, but you see it in baseball, the Fenways, the Wrigleys, the Yankees. Baseball doesn't stop when you leave the gate. It spills out, right? So at Wrigley, it's called Wrigleyville. It's a bunch of baseball stores and restaurants.
I've been there. That place is gorgeous. I went there back in August when I was in Chicago.
And if the Mets do what they want to do with, I guess, a hotel, casino, restaurants, and they make it a world outside of the stadium, that adds to the element. And yes, people will be like, oh, you could just eat in the stadium. Well, when the fun doesn't stop once you walk out that gate, that makes the experience even more.
Yeah. We know. Billy's Sports Bar in the Bronx. It's
the
pretty
best sports bar in the world.
It's pretty cool, I gotta say. I've never been there, but I'm gonna go eventually. That place looks awesome. I gotta say.
It's phenomenal.
It is. Okay. So I'm still rocking with the Atlanta Braves. I can't pick the Mets anymore. I've lost my patience as a Met fan. I'm going with the Braves. Right. NL Central. This one, I could see the Chicago Cubs doing a little bit of damage, but the Cardinals.
That's the Cardinals.
And NL West, I'm going with you on this one. San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
My wild cards are the New York Yankees. Barely, like by this much. I'd say Blue Jays win by a game. We're going with them. We're going with the I'm actually going with the Tampa Bay Rays as one of my wild cards.
Really?
Yes. I think the Rays are going to just be the Rays at the end of the day. And my other wild card, the Seattle Mariners, who are going to have a very good season.
Yeah, absolutely.
National League, my wild cards are the following: Mets, Phillies, Dodgers, in that order. Because the Mets are going to come in second again. And they're going to probably have like 100 wins, and the Braves are going to have like 102, and the Phillies are going to have 99. And it's just going to be a crap show for sure. My World Series prediction, you're not going to like this. Please don't leave the room. I'm picking Houston to win the World Series this year.
Look, I'm never going to deny that Houston got better. But I said it last year. I truly believe everything I say. Houston's a beatable team.
They are.
They're beatable. And
Philly's almost had it, but they completely collapsed. You don't go from winning 7-0 at home to getting no hit. You know,
the pressure got to them a little bit, but they're beatable. And you know, you get the right team, the right moment in there at the World Series or the ALCS, a healthy Yankee lineup rotation. They're beatable.
By the way, I just want to make this very clear. I tried this last year, it didn't work, but I'm trying it again. Say the Mets and Yankees both make the ALCS and NLCS. I say we got to root for each other to get ourselves an all New York World Series because let's be honest, who wouldn't want to see that?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see it this year.
But this year could be even better because this Mets team is way better than last year's team is.
Well, I think the more the years go on, the more we're not making it, the more it makes us want to make it. And
this one's got to be the year.
Hopefully.
Listen, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
That's a fact. Frank Sinatra.
Definitely a fact. Frank Sinatra, Italian legend.
Yes, sir.
What's his nickname again?
Old Blue Eyes. Chairman of the board.
There it is. Yes, chairman of the boards. He's a legend. Okay. So we're going to stick on our topic of this 2023 season. What do we think is going to happen with the awards? Like, it's way too early to decide, but let's just rifle some off.
Like I said, I think Judge, in contention. I think this will be a healthy year. Mike Trout, always in contention. Of course, Ohtani, and I love him. So he's so fun to watch. So those three are always going to be at the top of the list for the AL MVP. I think some wild cards this year could be Rafael Devers, Vladdy Jr.
I think Jose Ramirez could definitely be up there, or Yordan Alvarez.
Both of them. Yordan is incredible player.
He actually reminds me of David Ortiz if he played for the Astros.
He's just so strong. His bat is so powerful. I'm a Yankee fan till I die, but I do like other players, and I have no issues with Yordan. I have no issues at all. Him and Jeremy Pena, I think, are great for the game. So,
how do you feel about Jose Altuve, by the way?
2017 Astros, I don't have the fondest opinions of. That's just in general.
You would say things that you don't want to say on air. Got it. Okay.
Anything I say is everything I say on camera. I try to not talk about the 2017 Astros when I don't have to.
That's why I love Dusty Baker so much because he completely changed the way that people look at the Houston Astros.
I love Dusty Baker. I'm glad he finally got a ring.
Me too. Hopefully it's his last because now we don't want to see the Astros turn to the Yankees. God forbid.
They're never going to be a dynasty.
Are you sure? If they win this year, they're going to be a dynasty.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. We're good.
We all thought that, but now they might turn out like Georgia did.
Oh, winning the championship?
They've won their second natty in a row, and next year they're probably going to go 12-0. They're so good. Anyway, that's not the point. My predictions for AL MVP, I got to go with my boy from the Baltimore Orioles, James McCann. He's going to hit 500 with 50 home runs because that's what happens when guys leave the Mets to go elsewhere. But if I'm being legitimate, I'm going with I got to go Yordan Alvarez. He's going to have a monster year.
Yeah, absolutely.
National League MVP, call me biased, I don't care. But we all know what contract years do to guys that play in New York. For example, Aaron Judge hit 62 home runs in his contract season. Well, newsflash, Pete Alonso's contract is up this season, and the Mets are going to want to give him a bag. My prediction is Pete Alonso wins National League MVP.
Look, I love Pete, so awesome. I'm okay with it. I love Pete. I've never once shied away from that. I think he has a great attitude. He's great for the Mets. I look at the Mets. I still think he's the face of the franchise. I think they'll give him captain one day.
He'll get. I mean, the Mets don't often name captains because we're not the Yankees. We don't try to be the Yankees. We want to be the Yankee. Well, actually, that brings me to my next topic. It's a mini topic. Do you remember back when the Mets were in the Wilpon days, and we would always complain about the Yankees for buying championships? Do you think that's what the Mets are doing right now?
Look, I think the whole argument since it began, it's ridiculous. If you look at every championship team that the Yankees won since free agency started, and I'll start with the Bronx Zoo teams of 77, 78. We purchased, I guess we yeah, we went out and got players, right? But the core of that team was homegrown talent. Thurman, you had Guidry, right? So and then you had other guys like Nettles, and then Willie Randolph, who weren't necessarily homegrown talent, and then you got Reggie Jackson to put him over that hill, right? So I never liked the argument of purchasing a championship, because then you look at 96 and 97. They don't win the championship without the homegrown talent of Jeter, Rivera, Pettit, Posada. So I don't think that you buy championships. Even when the Golden State Warriors got Kevin Durant, they still had Steph, Clay, and
Oh,
Draymond.
yeah.
So any team should, and the only people who complain about buying championships, I'm not complaining about what the Mets are doing. I think it's great for baseball. And any owner should want their team to get better. And, if your team isn't getting better, that's because they're not trying to improve the team. And every team should go out there trying to improve.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I feel like because us Met fans are probably the biggest hypocrites on the face of the earth, and that's just me being honest. Listen, Met fans, I love you to death, but we're a bunch of jerks. I'm one of the nicer ones, but we are a bunch of jerks. I think we only say that because of just how cheap the Wilpons were. I mean, let's be honest. If Cohen owned the Mets back in the Bobby Bonilla contract, God forbid, that contract would never have even happened. He would have just paid the $5.9 million and then just went on. And I feel like the Mets could have had a ton of other superstars. Like we could have had like a Bryce Harper if we had the Cohen days. And that's what I like about Cohen. He spends so much money. It basically is like, hey, I'm the owner of the New York Mets. I'm Steve Cohen, and I'm here to say you either spend money or you don't win in this league. And I feel like that's going to be
You look at the Mets, and the best move that they made before Steve Cohen was Cespedes, extending him. It didn't turn out. That was the right move to make. But I mean, before that, they never went out and tried to get that superstar. They tried once with Jason Bay. I mean,
God forbid, never mention his name ever again.
I mean, they did get Francisco Rodriguez, which was a great move, but they never got that guy to go along with David Wright or Jose Reyes. It was always, those guys are our stars. We don't need anyone else, and that's why they didn't win.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Mets are they were so cheap back then, and I honestly like the approach that we're having, because when they said, hey, you got to get yourself a superstar, you go out and get Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. Then the very next offseason, you go out, you quote, sign Trevor Bauer. Thank God we didn't sign Trevor Bauer, although now the Mets might pick him up at $720,000, which I wouldn't hate because that could really bolster the rotation. But you go ahead and sign Starling Marte, Eduardo Escobar, Max Scherzer. You also go ahead and get Mark Canha in this offseason. Brennan Nimmo, Edwin Diaz, Justin Verlander, Kodai Senga, Jose Quintana, David Robertson, quote Carlos Correa, possibly Trey Mancini, et cetera, Omar Narvaez. Like, we're such big spenders now, and that's what I love so much about this Cohen era. And I also just got a tweet from John Heyman, the Mets and Yankees, neither are going to pursue Trevor Bauer. How do you feel about that?
Look, I've said it before. I don't really get into the Trevor Bauer conversation because I don't know all the details. I don't know if a team will pick him up. They might. I can only talk baseball, and Trevor Bauer was a great pitcher. So I don't know if he will be picked up. I'm okay with the Yankees not picking him up because we got a full rotation. So that's all I tend to say. I don't know the full story. I don't know all the details. And it's really, I try to keep things positive. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like not that many people want to talk about Trevor Bauer because of the whole situation that he was in, which is completely fair. So that makes me get to my next award prediction. AL and NL Cy Young. AL is Jacob deGrom. I think Carlos Rodon's going to compete with him for sure. Rodon's going to have an amazing season.
And Cole.
I don't want to talk Cole. Cole, I feel like he's going to have Cole is so streaky.
Oh, he's going to be a Cy Young candidate once again.
We'll see until Rafael Devers gets to him.
What about National League? You think Verlander has a shot?
I think he does, but I'm going with I hate to bring his name up because he is on the team that shall not be named, the Philadelphia Phillies. But I'm going with Zach Wheeler as my National League Cy Young winner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Former New York Met who would look absolutely perfect on this rotation right now if it was for those goddamn Wilpons.
What a rotation that was, right? DeGrom.
Oh my God, that was fantastic.
Syndergaard,
Harvey Syndergaard. And again, the only reason the Mets were good in 2015 was because of how good the pitching is. And the only reason the Mets were good in 2022 was because of how good the pitching was. Now
they
look
didn't
at
have
us.
the lineup to get over there.
Get bats. God, we never learn. It's embarrassing at this point. We'd never get bats.
Look, Trey Mancini would do it for you guys. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's something that I definitely thought of. Trey Mancini, for sure. So this is one that I was thinking of. We're gonna go back to a little bit of some Mets Yankees talk. What is one player on the Mets and Yankees? You can go first because you're the Yankee guy. You're the guest. You're on my show now. This is not the Bronx Zoo, not yet, of course. Although I might be on there soon enough. What is one player for the Yankees that you think is getting looked under the radar? That's gonna have a phenomenal year.
It's a good question. I think going into this next year, two guys come to mind. One's on the screen, DJ LeMahieu. When Anthony Rizzo and DJ LeMahieu are good, the Yankees are great. And Harrison Bader going into the fresh season.
Awesome. Harrison Bader's absolutely awesome.
Awesome energy. I think he'll have a great year. There's a couple guys. I think Trevino is still going to play at that all-star level. He fits.
Why am I hearing you're going to pursue Gary Sanchez now?
Nah, Trevino's our guy. We don't. I'm a huge Trevino fan. And he's our guy. We don't. I mean, he won the Platinum Glove. I think he's doing. I want my catcher to be great defensively, and he does exactly that. And
yeah, you finally answered my question. How to pronounce it? Everyone keeps telling me it's Trevino, and I've been saying Trevino this whole time. It's Trevino. It's got the N on the end. But yeah, continue.
And then there's other guys. I think Oswaldo Cabrera is going to have a great first full season. I think Anthony Volpe is going to be our starting shortstop. I think he's going to do great. And an underrated guy, I think Josh Donaldson's glove last year was phenomenal. And I am one in the very few that believe it. I think he has stuff left in the tank. And I think that if his bat could just improve by 20%, that's all we need.
I feel you. I mean, I really do. I feel like there's guys on the Mets that I could name. One person that I'm definitely going to start off with is who I think was the best signing for the Mets all season. David Robertson is going to have a phenomenal year. He's not going to be Edwin Diaz. Diaz, honestly, I'll take a sub-2 ERA if I never have to watch Ed lose Diaz ever again, because that was a very painful time as a Met fan. For those that don't know, Ed lose Diaz was Edwin Diaz from 2019 to 2020. He was absolutely miserable.
He was phenomenal in Seattle.
Oh, yeah. And then we took him, came out to be garbage, blew save after save after save, especially that game against the Yankees, which we're never going to speak of ever again in my family, because that was tragic. I cried myself to sleep that night because we then watched Gary Sanchez at a grand slam the very next game in that doubleheader. That was back when the Mets would actually walk the Yankees off at Yankee Stadium. It was a rough year, very rough year for baseball. But I feel like one person that's getting looked under the radar is everyone's talking about Carlos Correa this, Carlos Correa that. One person benefits from this, Eduardo Escobar. Mm-hmm. If he has equivalent to that second half of the season, like the last month, he is going to turn out to be an absolute monster. And I'm also looking forward to Brett Beatty. I think Alvarez is going to be phenomenal when he gets up to the majors. But that being said, the Mets haven't had a good catcher since Piazza, really, because Travis d'Arnaud was kind of It was like only one good year. And now he's killing it with the Braves because that's just absolutely perfect. Because, Mets cannot develop for anything, but they'll sign every star player on the market. So,
They developed Pete Alonso and Jacob deGrom. You got to give them that.
And Jeff McNeil, too, by the way. So, we're actually not bad at this. We're not bad at this prospect thing. We're not the Yankees, though, so it is what it is. So, I think David Robertson's going to be great, and I think Eduardo Escobar are going to be they're my picks for sure. Cool. So, that brings us –
McNeil, too. I think McNeil
he's going to be amazing.
He'll always be good.
Absolutely spectacular. Dude wins the batting title last year. It was incredible. Okay, so for those who have been following Jake on TikTok on the Bronx Zoo, there is one topic and one topic only that everybody loves to talk about. And you're from, where are you from again? New York City?
I'm actually from Hopewell Junction, New York,
Oh, nice.
which is
Where
not.
are you right now? Are you in the city or are you still in Hopewell?
I'm in Hopewell right now, actually,
In
as we
Hopewell.
speak.
Okay. You're in Hopewell. I'm in Newburgh. The debate ends tonight. What is considered upstate New York? Let's make
Great,
this very
great,
clear.
Matt. I'll give you my definitive answer. I will
Go
never be
ahead.
swayed. I'll never change. When you look at city, there's an aspect of New York City that's not talked about that much. It's called the Greater New York City area, and that area consists all the way up past White Plains, past Peekskill, all the way up to Poughkeepsie. They consider from New York City to Poughkeepsie a big circle, the Greater New York City area, and there's a reason behind that, and that's because Metro train commuter rail connects to Poughkeepsie, it connects to New Haven, and it connects to southeast and a little bit above, like Dover Plains. But the commuter rail system is designed essentially for commuters to go into the city to work. So my upstate point is upstate starts where the Metro North ends. So the Metro North ends in Poughkeepsie, New York. That is where upstate begins. Because if you can commute from Poughkeepsie to New York City, you're not upstate. You're commuting into the city every day.
Thank you. I'd say I go a little bit higher. I say, well, obviously, I consider from Saratoga to Rochester, I consider everything up north Canada because that's just me. I'm a hypocrite. I consider Albany is the break from upstate. Because at the end of the day, look at how high Albany is compared to Newburgh. We're basically in the south. This is the southeast part of New York. This all here is western. This is like Canada territory. I think it's Albany because it only goes like up from here because then you go a decent amount, you're in the Adirondack Mountains, which basically is like a break point to Canada. So
Well, I will say this. I've taken the Amtrak train multiple times from Poughkeepsie to Albany and then from New York City to Albany. And Albany is a pretty big city. I've been to Albany enough now. It's a pretty big city. It's not like New York. It's kind of like the size of White Plains. And then Saratoga Springs is awesome, but the cities up there are much different than New York City.
oh yeah, for sure.
Syracuse, Rochester. I've never actually been to. I've gone passed through on trains. Syracuse, Rochester. I've been to Buffalo. It's a different type of city. It's not as much downtown foot traffic. It's not. But you go to the White Plains, you go to Poughkeepsie, you go to New York. The downtown area is constantly busy in all these spots.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that makes a very valid point. But going on the New York topic of things, by the way, if anyone says Newburgh is upstate, you probably live in it. If anyone says anything above Kingston is upstate, you probably live in New York City. That's just a fact.
Shout out Newburgh. I love Newburgh.
Me too. It's beautiful. Well,
Great college town.
I mean, this place is kind of falling on hard times. I got to be honest with you. Lot of violence.
Newburgh has a lot of beauty in it, and I Beacon too. I went to college in Newburgh. Very grateful for my time there. There's a lot to do.
There is a lot to do. The Hudson River, obviously, the river skyline is absolutely beautiful. The city of Newburgh has seen better days, but honestly, it could get better.
I've essentially lived in 4 different. I spent some time with my grandfathers too at both of their places, and I've essentially lived in like 5 places, getting up, going to work. And I've never lived more than about 13 minutes from the Hudson River, and I never will. So I love it.
You want to always live close by the Hudson.
Always by the Hudson.
All right, that is a very fair assumption. One last question before we end off tonight. You were both New York City guys. You're a Bronx guy. I'm a Queens guy because I'm from Queens. I was born there when I was little. Moved to Newburgh. Worst decision of my life. Well, not my life, my parents' life. What are the boroughs ranked in order? Because I know you're gonna put Bronx 1. I want to hear like your top 5 because I'm putting Queens 1. You're putting Bronx 1. So
let's get so yeah. I was a field reporter in New York and a producer in New York for many years,
right?
Working in TV. I was a field reporter and a producer. So my job essentially was out in the streets in all 5 boroughs constantly. When I was a field reporter, I would be in Brooklyn, I'd be in Queens, I'd be in the Bronx, Manhattan majority. And then when I was a producer, I went to Staten Island a bunch. So, I mean, I think there's a case to be made. I know the streets better than almost anyone when it comes to New York City because I would go all over on foot. I know all boroughs very well. Bronx is number one, always be my favorite, obviously.
That's
Uh,
fair.
I rank Manhattan two for its impact on the financial world, the fashion world, the entertainment world. Brooklyn number three because I feel like there is more to do in Brooklyn, but that's a tough decision because I do love Queens. I love Astoria. I love Long Island City. Great parks in Queens. Great food in Queens. Um, there's a lot to do. Queens Boulevard. If you ever watched the show Entourage, I am Queens Boulevard. And then Staten Island, I love too. It's hard to compete with the top four.
I can't say I'm a fan of Staten Island in the slightest. They're my easy number 5. Number 4 is Brooklyn. I really don't see. Well, actually, I'm putting a 3-4 tie between Bronx and Brooklyn. There is one thing that I like about Brooklyn, and that is their massive Italian population. That is one of the things I can actually like about Brooklyn. Because obviously I'm Italian, you're Italian, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
Brooklyn has a great history when you read about Brooklyn overall and Barclays Center, Williamsburg, Coney Island. There's a lot of iconic New York landmarks.
Barclays Center, one of the worst arenas in sports, legitimately looks like a
Oh,
car.
disagree. I love it.
I'm more into the Garden. The problem is I can never get to the Garden because tickets are $120 each for Rangers and Knicks games, but that's a story for another time. Number 2 is Manhattan. There's so much to do there. And I don't appreciate that there are so many homeless people and rats filling up our city. It's a really bad look for us, and that might be why New York City is looked at as falling off and not the glory days that it used to be. So hopefully that can change in Manhattan. And number 1, my hometown where I used to grow up, Queens, New York, baby. Absolutely love it.
Saw that coming. No matter what, we both can agree New York City is the greatest city in the world. So
absolutely. And to any of these Philly hypocrites watching this, if anyone compares Philly to New York, that is a disgrace.
I love Philadelphia, so wrong city to compare it to. I love Philadelphia. So
Philadelphia also has some really good Italians too.
It has the story of Rocky Balboa. So
that is true. Although Sylvester Stallone is born in New York. Just thought I'd make that very clear.
That is true.
All right. So before we sign off tonight, is there anything that you want to talk about the Bronx Zoo or anything like that? The floor is yours.
Yeah. So if you're a Yankee fan, if you're a baseball fan, I think JJ has been following me for a long time now. And he's not a Yankee fan, so I think what we're trying to do.
And I take every joke he makes about the Mets with love and respect because I'm a very nice Met fan. I'm probably the nicest one you'll ever meet, but I'm also a diehard. So my philosophy is when the Yankees lose, America wins.
Oh, I disagree completely. I think I got a video coming out tonight that kind of goes against that, but
that's you got posted, by the way.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm a baseball fan. I think the important part to make our game grow is to build these rivalries. It's to have fun with them. Be respectful, of course, but as long as we can have fun, appreciate each other's jokes, and I'm just trying to make baseball more fun, more entertaining, combining the aspect of pop culture and baseball once more. That's all I've ever tried to do. And like I said, I respect this game too much to ever disrespect it. So, I just love baseball. I love the Yankees. It's my favorite thing in the world. I will always love this team, and but I have a deep respect for baseball, and all I want to do is leave an imprint. So if you love baseball, I think you'll like our page.
Because your story, by the way, is absolutely phenomenal. I've heard your story. If you could sum it up in 1 to 2 minutes, your story of how the Bronx Zoo was formed, please enlighten us because it's an incredible story.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Essentially, I never hide the fact, grew up with the best parents, the best sisters, the best family, had a great, life growing up. I got to college, I got overweight, just felt down about myself, didn't really, like myself. So I watched Rocky one night. He lost the Oscar, and I watched Creed, and I started working out. I found out that being healthy and being physically fit is what guides you to being it's a first step to being more positive outlook, I think, on life, on the world, when you get physically active and you get your frustrations out that way, instead of just letting them dwell within you. So I started a brand called Get Better. I lost 70 pounds in 4 months, a lot of work, a lot of dedication. I ended up I graduated college. I worked at a company called Steiner Sports, which is a Yankee affiliate memorabilia company at the time. Had an unbelievable opportunity there. I graduated college. I was a president, RA, all that stuff. Gave the commencement speech. Really just completely in college, thanks to Mount St. Mary College. Flipped my life around, and got a job right out of college doing an internship for a fashion company, which was
I think
something
over.
totally different. Came out of nowhere, but I learned a lot there. Knew I
You work
wanted
for
to work
TMZ, right? Is that the job that you stopped working at as a field reporter? It's TMZ, correct?
No, I went once I left that fashion internship. I got a job at TMZ because I wanted to work in
Yeah,
media,
TMZ.
and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to interview and get comfortable and learn New York and understand that this is a hard industry, and that is where you learn how hard this industry can be. I would work 16-hour days. I'd be exhausted. COVID happened. I left TMZ. I got hired for a cable news network. I worked there for a year as a producer. And I just hit a point where I was like, I've done this for a long time now. I think a lot of people, when they see me on TikTok, think I just picked up a microphone, and I don't think they realize I do all the editing. I do all the social media. I understand the background of media. I've worked in it for 5 years.
There's one thing that you haven't mentioned yet, and that was that childhood dream that you've had, which you're currently pursuing as we speak right now.
Well, yeah, that's where we're at in the story. I left that job after 1 year, and I've always had one dream, and I'm a diehard Yankee fan. And I always said to myself I would do anything to work at Yankee Stadium. And the dream ended up being I wanted to work in Yankees media, and it turned out to be that situation behind me in that picture. That was my dream, and I only want to take it forward. I want to elevate it, and I want to take it to the next level. And every day I'm trying to do that. Thanks, JJ. Hopefully we get there.
You gotta spread the message across somewhere.
I appreciate it.
So long story short, Jake was a lifelong Yankee fan who, by the way, might be the nicest Yankee fan I've ever met in my life. I gotta say, you're definitely the nicest one I've seen.
Thank you. They're all great. They're all great. You just got to get to know them.
I've tried. Believe me, it's tough. It's really hard.
You go to a Yankee game one day, and I'll introduce you to a bunch of Yankee fans. You'll think differently.
Are they Italian?
Just all Yankee fans are the best.
Perfect, because I wanted to meet some Italian Yankee fans. That's just how I feel. So, listen, I got to be honest. I do not watch Yes Network at all. I don't like Michael Kay at all because he thinks he's better than Gary Cohen, which he is not at all. However, if they put Bronx Zoo on Yes Network, I'd watch it 100%. There's no way in hell I wouldn't watch that.
I appreciate the support very much.
It's awesome. It's a show by the fans for the fans. What more could you ask for at this point? Seriously.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the support.
Anytime. So you want to leave any final thoughts?
Here's to a great year in baseball, and here's to 2023 for a Subway Series.
Here. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Jake. It was a pleasure. Thanks for watching episode 6 of the Bronx, or I said Bronx Zoo. God damn it. Episode 5 of the Cegs Table. I really hope you enjoyed it, Jake. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you. I had a great conversation. Thank you very much.
As always. And by the way, as always, LFGM, baby.
Let's go Yankees.